We are not going to stay silent on this, because during the week as well, I hope people were able to catch the Four Corners report on Monday night. We saw a situation in Western Australia, Invasion Day 08, over 12 months ago. An Aboriginal man was pulled up in a vehicle on a deserted road. It wasn't even a gazetted road, it was just a bush track, so he should not even be pulled up. Two coppers pulled him up. He was over the legal limit. He was held in a watch house overnight, and then he had to be transported from this place, Lebanon, to Kalgoorlie, a cell at Kalgoorlie. They used a JP who hadn't even read his instructions booklet. This JP had not even read any material that had come out of the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody. The Royal Commission had made 339 recommendations that were to be considered and utilised by JPs, magistrates, judges, etc. Yet this JP in Lebanon, West Australia, faced with a situation, he said there was an Aboriginal person in the cell, he was clearly intoxicated, therefore he had to be transported to a cell at Kalgoorlie, 400 kilometres away in the heat of the day. This private transport firm placed him in the back of this van, and he was transported from there over a period of 3 hours across to Kalgoorlie. During that entire trip, he was offered no relief at all. These two officers who were in charge of him did not have a toilet stop, didn't offer him any water or any food, didn't open the back door up to check on his condition or anything. Finally, when they reached their destination, they went to the back of the van and they found him to be collapsed on the floor and looking very unwell. The senior officer was a male person. He reached through the cell, the grill, with a plastic water bottle and poured some water on him, on this guy, and then they rushed to the hospital. However, when they got to the hospital, the medical staff worked on him for at least 60 to 70 minutes, but then had to pronounce him dead. Finally, this week also, the coroner's handed down findings in which he's found against the two officers who are in charge of this prisoner. They've also made findings against the firm that runs this fleet of vehicles to transport Aboriginal prisoners. They've also made findings against the West Australian government. But when I was watching this report on Four Corners on Monday night, I didn't see a great deal of political support behind the family or the community. Indeed, when the family went to attend the coronial inquest, they were virtually by themselves. They weren't even attended by a member of the Aboriginal Legal Service. The only time the Aboriginal Legal Service became involved was when Four Corners was there. And that made me feel very uneasy, because it's really critical when major events happen, such as deaths in custody, that the family and the community receive as much support and as much sympathy and as much compassion as possible. But if you didn't see the report on Monday night, please try to obtain a copy of it, and you'll understand how much concern Aboriginal people have, because here we are, in 2009, we were 18 years removed from when the Royal Commission's recommendations were handed down. The Royal Commission heard evidence in 90 Aboriginal deaths in custody, 99 Aboriginal deaths in custody. They heard evidence during 1988, 1989, handed down 339 findings and recommendations in 2001. And these recommendations are supposed to regulate and govern the way in which watch house staff and correctional service officers respond to the needs of Aboriginal people. And a great number of positive things have flowed from those recommendations. Here in Brisbane, for example, we were able to establish Murray Watch. At Murray Watch we run a diversionary centre that's been going since 2001, and in that 18-year period of Murray Watch, we've never had a single Aboriginal death in custody in a Brisbane watch house. So we've got a 100% success rate. So if the recommendations that were handed down in 2001, the recommendations are followed and adhered to, then lives will be saved. But here we have this week two separate death in custody cases, two separate streams of decisions that both indicate quite convincingly that correctional service officers and police are not using those recommendations. They're showing no respect for the humanity of Aboriginal prisoners in their custody, to the detriment of those Aboriginal prisoners. And as we saw in Palm Island, as we saw in Western Australia, when these recommendations are not adhered to, when the needs of Aboriginal prisoners are not being respected, then Aboriginal prisoners are going to die.